Hi, it's Bart from recpro.com. This movie is one of our videos about deploying trial environment for IBM Engineering Lifecycle Management. This part is about platform configuration. I hope you will enjoy it. When you installed all the binaries, you can start configuration and setup process of the platform. So what we'll do first, we'll just close the installation manager because we don't need it anymore. And after doing this, you can just go to the start menu and you can just check here that you have stop and start shortcuts for the Jest platform. So what you can do, you can just start the platform as an administrator. So you can just do right click, click more and run it as an administrator. Usually I don't do it this way, I do it other way. I just go to the command prompt, I start the command prompt command line as an administrator, and then I just go to the directory where I have IBM Engineering Platform installed. So for me it is C, IBM, Jest Team Server, then server, and here is a script called server startup bat. And this is exactly doing the same as the shortcut. I will just start it. And I will quickly explain you what will happen right now. When you start the platform for the first time, it is deploying all the files for the applications that will be installed on the application server. So what you should do for the first time, you should start the platform, then stop it, and then start process of the configuring, making changes in the configuration file. So I always recommend to start the server once, see the information that it was properly started, and then stop it and start the configuration. So right now you see that my server is started, not even started. Server was created. More than 8,000 files were copied and the server was started. So right now what I can just do, I can just stop the server. So I'll just execute server.shutdown.bat and the server will be stopped. To be sure that server was stopped, what you can do, you can just open Task Manager. And in the Task Manager, you can just search for the Java jobs. And if you will find Java process that is consuming, more than 1 gigabyte of memory, this is most probably your Jest platform process. This process should just disappear when the server will be stopped. Of course, shutdown may take couple minutes, so you need to be just patient. This is quite important because sometimes when you are stopping the server, the Java machine won't shut down properly. So you need to just monitor if this process will just go away. If it won't just go away, maybe it will require from you some additional help. But right now you see that server was stopped, the Java processes disappeared. So what we will do first before we will start doing the setup. Usually what I configure always before I will start using any platform is increasing the number of memory that is used by the platform. This server currently has 32 gigabytes of memory. So what I can do, I can give to my Jest server, let me say half of it. You shouldn't give more than half, 50% of the memory you really have on your Windows servers. So what I do, I just go to the path where I have Jest server installed. So it is IBM Jest Team server. And here is a file which is called server.startup.bat. and I will just edit this file in the notepad. So what I will just do, I will just go down and I will search for three parameters: XMX, XMX, XMS, and XMN. Right now you see that the maximum memory that will be consumed by the Jest platform is 4 gigabytes. So if I have server with 32 and it is only using 4, it is a lot of unused memory. So what I will do, I will just set XMX to 16, and IBM documentation is saying that you should set XMS to exactly the same value. So it is 16 as well. And XMN should be 1/4 or XMX or XMS. So in our case, it should be 4 gigabytes. Of course, there are exceptions. If you are doing performance tuning especially for doors next, you can modify XMN a little bit, and it doesn't have to be always 1/4. But let me say, for our purposes and according to the documentation, it should be 1/4 of XMX or XMS. So this is changing memory. What else we should change? Other thing is changing ports that will be used by the server. The default ports used by the Liberty server are 9443 for HTTPS and 9080 for HTTP. And of course, for the evaluation environment, it is fine if you are running the whole system on your machine, but those are not typical ports for HTTP and HTTPS. So if you plan, for example, to access your system from other machines and you are in the corporate network, other ports than standard HTTP or HTTPS ports can be just blocked, and that will be a problem. So what we will do right now, we'll just change those default ports to the standard HTTP and HTTPS. Of course, when you install the whole IBM engineering platform for the production purposes, you have one additional component which is called IBM HTTP server, which is reverse proxy for the IBM engineering platform. And then you can just keep your Liberty servers in the background using standard Liberty ports, and just HTTP server will redirect the traffic, but of course HTTP server will be running using standard ports. So how to change ports? We need to go to the Liberty folder, servers, then CLM, and here is a file which is called server.xml. We can just edit it in the notepad. And we can scroll down, and here we have two values, HTTP port and HTTPS port. So we can just modify it and set it to standard values. Of course, remember to save your options. Of course, as I am running on Windows, a good idea before you will start configuring anything is just creating a firewall rule that of course those ports are enabled, and you will be able to access your system outside of the server. So what I will just do, I will just go to inbound rules, and I will just create a new rule for ports, and I will just enable port 80 and 443 for HTTPS. I'll just click next, allow the connection for all, and I will just call it IBM engineering. Just remember to do it, because sometimes it is just causing a lot of problems. So just turn off your Windows firewall or just create proper rules. So if we have done that, I think we can start the setup process. So I will just start the server again. So I will just use server.startup.bat. And right now the server will be started, and of course it will consume a little bit more memory than 4 gigabytes, and it will just use proper ports. In the meantime, when the server is starting up, I will open Chrome and I will just do one small change. Before you will start a setup, IBM is recommending that you will go to the settings and you will just disable pop-up blocking. So you should just go to the site settings. Here is a pop-up blocker and you can just make it allowed. Of course, if you don't want to do it, for all time, you can just add exception that for the domain which we will use, it will just work without any problems. This is just required. Okay, so I already have domain connected with this machine. And we can try to access our server. Of course, you can do something like HTTPS localhost. And you see that I don't have valid certificate, so I need to accept the exception. But you see, I can access my system using the localhost /JTS. So the server is up and running. Right now, you see that the application is loading. For the first time, it can take some time depending on your server performance. But you see that I get really nice logon screen. Of course, what is recommended is to use some kind of domain. So I already have domain configured. We can check if it will work. It seems it is working. I need to accept the certificate again. Perfect. But JTS application, just server application, is not the right URL which you should use to, let me say, to start the setup. What you need to do, you need to add JTS/setup at the end. And right now you can just log in. The default username and password is just admin, and the password is admin2, capital letters. And you can just press enter and you will get really nice configuration screen. Right now we have two options: Express setup and custom setup. Custom setup is normal path of configuring JES platform, where you will set up database, you will create database, tables, structure, where you will configure integration with LDAP or with IBM authorization server and so on. So it is a little bit more complicated, but for the trial environment purposes, it really doesn't make sense. So we will just select Express Setup and the whole application will configure itself. Of course, what is important, if you plan to use databases like DB2, MS SQL, Oracle database, you need to go through the custom setup. During the Express setup, the whole configuration of the system will be done using Derby database. So it is good for training environments, it is good for evaluation if you want to learn something. But for the production use or even for small projects, I strongly recommend to use custom setup, use DB2, which is included in the license of the product, and it really makes more sense to deploy it this way. What we are doing, we are deploying trial environment, and I just wanted to highlight that. Okay, so we select Express Setup, we click Next. The first thing which we will configure is the public URI. So this is the domain which we'll use to access our system. What is important about public URI, this public URI will be fixed. So later when you will access the system, you should access the system through this URL. Of course, you can do here. You can set here like localhost. But then the system will always change the URL. When you will work with the system, it will always change the address in the browser into the local host. So you will have problems to access this system outside of your machine. So what I strongly recommend is just to configure DNS, prepare some domain which you will use, and then let me say use the domain which you have configured. Of course, you can set localhost, but then just remember that the system will be only accessible from your machine. I will just check that I understand. I can click test. I see that everything works properly. If this is set correctly, I can just click next. And I can set here my username and password. So I'll just write administrator as a user ID. I will just call this administrator just administrator. I'll just put some password. By the way, right now we are using user registry, which is inside WebSphere application server Liberty profile. We are not using LDAP, but of course, if you want, you can set LDAP or Active Directory, but you need to go through the custom configuration. By the way, after we will configure the user here, the admin user will be blocked, but it will be only blocked in the application. You will be still able to access your system, maybe not system, WebSphere administration console using admin user, and it is generating some risk. So be careful here, exposing this system to, let me say, wider public audience, because other people can access your WebSphere console with the admin account, or just replace this user from the user registry, or just change password. I will just click next. And right now we see that the Jest platform will configure itself. So it is configuring user registry, it is disabling admin account, and in a couple minutes it will start registering all the applications. By registering all the applications, I mean it will configure Doors Next, it will install workflow management, it will install test management, and also reporting tools, and it will configure itself. So you don't have to make difficult technical decisions at this point. Of course, if you will install this platform in the future for the production use, you will be able to make more customizations, you will be able to make more decisions how to configure things in the way which will apply to your organizations. After a couple minutes, the installation is done, and we are able to start working with the product. So we can just scroll down and just click next. And what we have to do right now, we need to activate trial licenses we want to use. So, of course, you can activate the licenses for Doors Next, or you can activate licenses for test management, or workflow management. But what I always recommend, if you are starting working with the platform, to activate the 60-day trial licenses, which is called IBM Engineering Lifecycle Management Based Practitioner. And this license gives you access to almost all the features, because it includes Doors Next, workflow management, and test management. So you have all 3 licenses in the one license, and you can just start working with the platform, with the product. If you installed as well Rhapsody Model Manager, you can just click Activate Trial for this license too, because this license is not included in the IBM Engineering Lifecycle Management base. If you are done with this, you can just scroll down and you can just click Finish. And after you will click Finish, you see the welcome screen for JES team server, which is typical for JES administrators, so for the people with the highest permissions in the JES platform. Thank you for watching this video. If you are more interested in our services, trainings or offerings, please visit our website recpro.com. Thank you.